His girlfriend screamed at me during the company meeting, calling me the office slut he used. The room went silent as everyone stared. I didn't say a word. I just waited for the CEO on the video call to speak. Actually, the CEO said, "You're pointing at your new regional director. Let's get this out of the way first. My own relationship is polyamorous. My partner and I are on the same page. We can date, kiss, or whatever, as long as we're honest with each other. It works for us. Most people in my life don't know this, but it's a core part of how I navigate the world." My colleague, who we'll call Joe, is in a very different boat. He and his girlfriend are completely, 100% monogamous. It's what she wants. And he's always said he respects it. The thing is, I know he's been curious about non-monogamy. A few times. Over lunch or after a long day. He'd bring it up. It just seems like it would solve a lot of problems. He'd say, staring into his coffee. But it always ended the same way. She'd never go for it. She's just not built that way. It was a settled fact. A door he said was closed. So, I filed him away in my brain under unavailable. Do not touch. Then came the team drinks a few weeks ago. It was one of those Friday nights where everyone is letting off steam. The bar was loud. The beer was flowing. And I was definitely feeling it. I get happy and bubbly when I'm tipsy, laughing a little too loud at everyone's jokes. Joe was there. Of course. He's one of those guys who can have 4 beers and seem as sober as a judge. He was his usual charming self, just watching the chaos unfold. When it was time to go, it made sense for us to leave together. We live in the same complex. Literally a 5-minute walk from each other. The cold air felt great after the stuffy bar. We walked to the bus stop, making small talk about a ridiculous project at work. I was just enjoying the fuzzy, warm feeling of the alcohol and the quiet of the night. We were standing under the dim, orange light of the bus stop shelter, and the conversation just stopped. He turned to look at me, and his expression had shifted. It wasn't the friendly colleague look anymore. My brain, slow and syrupy from the drinks, was trying to process the change. What's going on? This is Joe. Joe with the sweet girlfriend. My first coherent thought was her name, flashing like a neon warning sign. But a second thought, a selfish and convenient one, pushed it aside. My partner is fine with this. For me, this is allowed. It was a flimsy piece of logic that completely ignored the giant, glaring fact that he wasn't allowed. Before I could have a third thought, he leaned in and kissed me. And I kissed him back. It wasn't a quick peck. It was deep and messy. A ton of pent-up energy unleashed right there on a public bench. My mind was just static. When we finally pulled apart, the sound of the approaching bus was what broke the spell. As we got on, he sat down a seat away from me and whispered, his voice low and serious. "Don't tell anyone. Please." I just nodded, my heart pounding in my ears. The warmth from the beer was gone, replaced by a cold, heavy stone in my stomach. I knew I had crossed a line, and now he had handed me the secret to hold. So, here's my first question for you all. I guess, I know I'm in the wrong. But how do you handle the guilt when you didn't technically break your own rules, but you helped someone shatter theirs? I feel like a walking, talking loophole, and it's already eating me alive. The week after that first kiss was hell. At work, Joe and I acted like total strangers. We'd walk past each other in the hallway with a tight-lipped nod. If we had to speak about a project, his emails were formal and his tone was clipped. He was trying to build a wall so high and thick that no one could possibly guess what happened. What he didn't get was that the silence between us was louder than any conversation. It was a buzzing, electric field that I was terrified someone would notice. The worst part is, I have his girlfriend's number in my phone. We met once at a company picnic. She's exactly as he described. Warm, funny, an absolute sweetheart who brought homemade cookies for everyone. We exchanged numbers to share pictures from the event. Now, her name in my contacts list feels like a ticking bomb. My thumb has hovered over the message button more times than I can count. What would I even do? Detonate her world with a text. Hey, just so you know, the guy you love and trust got drunk and kissed your friendly neighborhood colleague. It would make me the villain and her the victim. I kept telling myself that my silence was a weird, twisted form of kindness. I rationalized that protecting her from the truth was better than shattering her with it. Then, last week, we had another team outing. I told myself I wouldn't drink much. I'd be in control. But the tension between Joe and me was still there, simmering under the surface. It was like a magnetic pull. We kept finding ourselves in the same small conversation circles, our arms brushing, our eyes meeting for a fraction of a second too long. The more I drank, the less I cared about the wall had built. We ended up in the narrow hallway by the restrooms, away from the noise. He just looked at me, and I knew what was going to happen. My brain was screaming, "This is a catastrophically stupid idea. You got away with it once. Don't do this." But I didn't listen. We kissed again. This time with a frantic, desperate energy. It wasn't about attraction anymore. It felt like we were both trying to silence the guilt. And that's when it happened. The door at the end of the hall creaked open. A colleague of ours, let's call him Mark, stood there, phone in hand. His face was a blank slate. His eyes went from my face to Joe's hand on my waist, then back to my face. He didn't gasp. He didn't say a word. He just held my gaze for a solid 2 seconds, turned around, and walked back into the bar. The click of the door shutting echoed in the hallway. We sprang apart like we'd been electrocuted. The secret wasn't ours anymore. We didn't give it to Mark. He took it. It's been 3 days. And Mark hasn't said a thing. He treats us both normally. Maybe even a little too normally. Joe is freaking out, sending me panic texts asking if I've heard anything. I feel sick to my stomach every time I see Mark at the coffee machine. So now I'm in an even worse position. The secret is out, but it's being held by someone else. I have no idea what his intentions are. Does his silence mean he's going to keep it? Or is he just waiting for the most dramatic moment to blow everything up? What do you even do in this situation? Do I approach him and beg him to stay quiet? Or do I just wait for the inevitable explosion? The moments after Mark shut that door were a blur of cold, sharp panic. Joe and I didn't say a word. We just scrambled back into the main bar area, took separate routes back to our tables, and tried to look like nothing had happened. My blood felt like ice in my veins. I couldn't even form a sentence. We left separately, about 10 minutes later. The whole walk home, I kept replaying that 2-second stare down. The complete lack of expression on Mark's face was terrifying. It wasn't anger. It wasn't shock. It was just nothing. A blank screen. And that's where we are now. Trapped. The last 3 days at work have been a special kind of psychological torture. Every casual good morning from Mark feels like a threat. Every time I see him talking to another colleague near the water cooler, my stomach drops, convinced he's telling them Joe is losing his mind, sending me texts that are just a string of question marks or heard anything. I keep telling him to act normal. But we both know that's impossible. We're puppets. And Mark is the one holding the strings. The silence is somehow worse than an accusation. It means the power is entirely in his hands. And we have no idea what he plans to do with it. This whole mess has forced me to look at what I've actually done. I make this post fully aware that I am the asshole here. Absolutely. I can use the excuse that I was tipsy the first time. Or that my own relationship rules are different. But that's all bullshit. I knew Joe had a girlfriend. I knew she wanted to be monogamous. And I participated not once, but twice. I chose to be someone's dirty little secret. And now that the secret is threatening to get out, I'm finally facing the consequences. That's why I'm writing this. I can't talk to my partner about it. Because how do you explain this level of disrespect for someone else's relationship? I can't talk to my friends. I just need to get it off my chest before it implodes. So I'm at a crossroads. And both paths look like they lead off a cliff. Option A. The right thing. I take the power back from Mark. I text Joe's girlfriend. I tell her everything. Calmly and honestly. She deserves to know the truth about the man she's with. But this path means I become a homewrecker. I would be detonating her life, her trust, and her happiness with a single message. Joe's life would be ruined. And the fallout at work would be apocalyptic. It'd be the office pariah who knowingly slept with a taken man and then blew up his life. Option B. The coward's way out. I cut off all non-essential communication with Joe. We stop everything. Forever. We go back to being polite, distant colleagues and pray that Mark either forgot, doesn't care, or decides to keep his mouth shut out of some unspoken office code. This path means leaving his sweet, unsuspecting girlfriend completely in the dark. Allowing her to continue investing her life in a guy who lied to her. It means I live with this gut-rotting guilt. Always looking over my shoulder. For the rest of my time at this job. So, Reddit. What's the lesser of two evils here? Do I cause immense, immediate pain in the name of truth? Or do I choose a selfish, cowardly silence and hope this whole thing just fades away?